Hi, this is Marcus Curtis from Marcus Curtis Music, and this is the second video in our series about using the Behringer X-32 for studio recording. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to record a track into your DAW, but not just how to record a track into your DAW. I'm going to show you how to use all of the effects in the mixer itself and how to blend them with your audio signal so that you can use everything this Behringer mixer has to offer. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so now we're going to record a track into our DAW applications. But before we do this, there's a little checklist I run through before I start recording. And I'm just going to show you what that checklist is now. And this is going to prevent a lot of problems in the future. And if you run into situations and it can get kind of frustrating by going through this checklist, you're going to avoid a lot of issues. Let me just show you this step by step. Go down to the Start button. Right click and go up to Device Manager. Click on Device Manager, and here is all of the hardware that's inside of our computer. Then we're going to go up to where it says Audio Inputs and Outputs. We're going to click on that. You can see all of our hardware is listed right there. Come down here to where we have sound, video, and game controllers. Click on that. Here's the rest of our audio hardware, our audio interface, and our MIDI interface. Here's our MIDI interface, Yamaha. Okay. So everything looks good. Now, sometimes you'll have a yellow triangle here with an exclamation point. That would mean that there's a hardware conflict. That could also mean that you didn't shut your gear down the right way. And if you don't shut your gear down the right way, sometimes these yellow triangles will appear and you won't be able to record anything unless you resolve the conflict. Now the solution is really simple. All you got to do is reboot your computer and those yellow boxes will go away. Okay, so but if these yellow triangles are there, you're going to run into all kinds of issues. Okay, so just check before you open up any of the software and make sure that everything looks okay. And trust me, if you get in the habit of doing this, you're going to save yourself a lot of headache. Okay, so the next thing you're going to want to do is disconnect from the internet. Just come down here and disconnect before you do any recording. And you say, well, why? Well, because if you're recording a track and a Windows update is going on, your recording sessions is going to go very wrong very quickly. You have software on your computer that works in the background, and a lot of times this software pulls information off the internet, and that eats up CPU cycles. Let me show you what I mean. Go down here to where the Start button is, right click and go up to Task Manager. When Task Manager comes up, you can see if everything that's operating, all the software programs that are open. Now, if you don't see this window, chances are you see this window. All you have to do is go down to where more details are, click on that where it says more details, and everything comes up. Background processes. This is everything running in the background. So look at this, Microsoft Edge. That's getting data from the internet. Any kind of update program, any program that's doing an update is going to be listed in here. Anything operating in the background is going to be listed here. So if you shut down the internet, then you're going to have more CPU cycles for your recording session, and you're going to have a better recording session. You can also, if you want to, close the programs that are operating in the background, even though they're not taking up very much. Okay, they're taking up a little bit of something. So if you want to, just click on that. You can go down here to where it says End Process, and it shuts that program down. Another way to do it is just right click, go over to End Task, and that shuts it down too. So just shut down anything working in the background that you don't need open. And the next time you boot your computer, this will all come back. Okay, but for the most part, if you don't need it for your recording session, you can do this step. Now, I don't notice a big difference when I do this. But it does make a little bit of a difference. Okay, check CD-ROM lighting. I don't need that when I'm recording. I don't need my CD-ROM to be checking itself. Let's see, Microsoft Edge. I'm not going to be on the internet. I won't need that. Just after 3 of these things, this whole thing's going to close out. Okay, there it goes. Okay. So we're going to go down to what else we have. We don't need that one. Now, if you don't know what some of these are, don't close them out. For example, if you don't know what Windows host process, don't shut that off. Okay, if you know that it's an app that you don't need, you can go ahead and turn it off. Okay. So once this is done, our checklist is complete and we're ready to record music. Our computer's optimized for recording music. Okay, so now it's time to open up our Behringer X-32 app. And to do that, we're going to go down to the icon and click on the app. Now we're going to connect it to the computer. We're going to click on connect and we're going to choose mixer to PC. Making this connection now. Okay, so you notice that we have signal coming into channel 16. This is our microphone. This is what we're using to record this video with. Now I have the guitar plugged into channel 1, which is over here. And then when I strum channel 1, you see a little bit of a signal. We're going to address that a little bit later. For now, I want to talk about the routing as it relates to recording music. Okay, so we're going to go over here and click on routing, and our routing is going to open up. And so this is fairly easy to understand. It's like the routing in the mixer, but it's sort of turned on its side. Okay, across this way we have our sources. So local right down this way. Okay, coming down this way we have our channels. Okay, so then these are the various tabs we can click on. So for example, this is inputs. So these are our input channels. Okay, here's the card. These are outputs. So these are the outputs for the card. Here's our XLR. Okay, these are our outputs in the mixer. Here they are right here. Here is our buses, all of the buses. Here is our output delay. Here's auxiliary out. Okay, here's alternate. Now alternate is what you would use to set up a P16, which is basically in-ear monitoring, that kind of stuff. And here's our point-to-point routing. We would set that in here. Okay, so in recording, the two we're going to be concerned with, though, are the inputs and then the card outputs. So right now, we're set to local. And local is basically the inputs that are built on the back of the mixer, okay? Because I'm using a X32 producer, I only have 16 of those, okay? Even though I have up to 32 channel inputs I can select in routing. Now, I have an SD16 stage box plugged into my AES50A connection. Now, if I was on side B, that picture would be over here, okay? So I also have access, or on inputs, to the auxiliary ins as well. Okay, so I can adjust those inputs as well. All right. Now, if I wanted to record, well, this is just basically inputs. Let's go over to the card first, and I'll show you it from this angle. So here's the outputs. Now, this is actually our 32 inputs of our card, because it takes the output of the card and routes it into the input of the DAW. Okay, so we have 32 of these. Okay, don't confuse these with the outputs that are on the card. We have selected 32 in and 8 out, which I'll show you in a minute. Okay, but this is actually, even though it says outputs, we're talking about the inputs going into the DAW. Okay, this is where we select our inputs from. Right now, the inputs of the DAW 1 through 8 are taken from the outputs of the card and it's set up to record the local. So if we want to record on the auxiliary in, what we would do is highlight the auxiliary in. We have two choices here. Okay, and now with the first 8 inputs of the DAW, we would select 1 through 6 to record on the 1 through 6 of the auxiliary in. Okay, I know this can be kind of confusing, but we're going to clear it up here in a minute. We're going to actually walk through some steps, and I promise it'll become clear a little bit later. For now, we're going to keep it on the local 1 through 8 inputs for our example here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close this out. We're going to visit this again when we do some advanced routing for recording. So now we need to open up Cakewalk. So we're going to minimize this by going down where it has X32 edit. We're going to minimize it. Click it once, I guess. Go over here to Cakewalk by BandLab, and we're going to open up our DAW application. And now that that's open, we're going to open up a new project. And then we have our new project open. We're going to go ahead and insert 2 audio tracks for recording. It's real simple. Just right click and go to Insert Audio Track. You can pull it down to see the details of the features inside. Now you can also add a track by hitting the plus sign and going through the menus here, but we're just doing a basic audio track, and we're going to add another one too. Okay, so now we have 2 tracks that are loaded. Okay, so we can switch now back and forth from the DAW application to the mixer. We don't have to run over to the mixer anytime. Anytime we want to get to the mixer, we just hit that button and we just go back and forth like this. And this is going to save an incredible amount of time. This is why you want your Ethernet connection hooked up. Okay, so we're going to arm this for recording here in a second, but I want to explain the features of our track. We can customize it over here, and we're going to click on this arrow and the window drops down. If we just want the inputs and outputs, there they are. If we just want the effects bin, here's the effects bin where we can load effects. If you want a mix section, which is our volume, our pan, and our gain, here's that area. And then if you want all, click on all, and everything here is listed. So what we need to do now is we need to go back to the mixer, and instead of getting up and running over to it, we just click on our little app here. I'm going to go over to channel 1 and open up the channel. Now this is our input gain. This determines how much signal goes into the DAW. And all of this stuff is bypassed. The noise gate, the equalizer, the whole effects strip is actually, or the channel strip is actually bypassed, okay? And it just takes the signal directly from the gain, from the preamp itself. We're gonna raise this up in volume so we can get some sort of a volume going on here. And now let's strum it and see. Okay, so you notice that we also don't hear any guitar yet. So we're just gonna go down here and raise this up a little bit. Do we hear guitar yet? There it is. Let's go ahead and turn on our, got a little bass pickup. All right, so here's our guitar part. Now we're gonna go over to our DAW application again, and we're gonna change our meter. Let's see, we're gonna go over to where it says options. We're going to go down to the meter options, and we're going to go down to horizontal meters, and now our meters have become horizontal. We can pull this out a little bit now if we want to. And when we strum, notice nothing is appearing down here. But if we arm it for recording, now it will appear. So when we armed it for recording, it selected an input automatically. And notice when we play, it's only playing on one side of the meter here, okay? Let's go over to our input and click on input. And then we go to our X Live, and here's our 32 inputs. Let me show you how this is set up. So channel 1 is actually channel 1 of the mixer. This is channel 2 of the mixer. This is channel 1 and 2 in stereo. This is channel 3 of the mixer, channel 4 of the mixer, channel 3 and 4 in stereo, etc., all the way down. So here's our 32 channels, and you can record from any one of them or a pair of them in stereo if you want. We want the first channel, so we're just going to click on that, and now our input has changed. So now when we strum, we get this. Now our signal is way too hot. Notice how it's above 12. It's even going into the 6 range. You want your recorded signal to be located between -18 and -12. You actually want it as close to -12 as you can get it, but not below -18. So this is our ballpark. Now, don't kill yourself trying to set this exact, but get it in the vicinity of this. So in order to adjust this, we have to go back to the preamp in the mixer and adjust it from there. So we're gonna click on the mixer, pull the preamp down. Let's go down to about 35. Let's see what that does. Now let's go back over to Cakewalk. We're going to strum again. That's a little bit closer. We'll go down a little bit more. That could still clip. Go over 12. Okay. Preamp. Let's go down to maybe 33. 33.5. We'll try that. What's that look like? Okay, that's very good. So the closer you get to 0, then the more hot the signal is. But if you hit 0, you're going to get some digital clipping, and that's not going to sound good at all in your recordings. You want to avoid that at all possible costs. And to get a good recording, you want it between this range right here. So now it's just a matter of hit record. But when we hit record, we're going to hear our metronome over here. And in this example, we're not using the metronome, so I'm just going to go ahead and shut it off. And then now if I hit this button or press R on the keyboard, it's going to start recording. So let's do that. Real simple song, not real hard, just a couple of little jazzy chords thrown in there. And if we play it, you're not going to hear it and you're not going to see it in the meter. I'm going to stop it. Now when we take the record button off, now it's going to play in the meter. Let's go ahead. There, and there it goes. Okay. So as you can see, this meter is tied to the record button. If the record button is not pressed, you're going to see what's being played. If the record button is pressed, you're going to see the live input. Okay. We can also adjust the track if we want to. We can just come over here to the edge, and we can bring it over, shorten it, and then we can move it around if we want as well. Okay. So we have our basic track recorded here. We hit play, and we can't hear it, but we can see it. And that's what, and the reason for this is because it has to be routed back to the mixer. Let me show you what I mean. What we're going to do is we're going to bring up our bus section here. So you can see that this track is routed to the master. This bus takes its audio source from the metronome, and this preview bus takes this audio source from the browser so that you can hear loops and that kind of stuff. We're going to close the browser, we're going to close the inspector, and we're going to hit D on the keyboard, which stands for dock, and that's going to bring up our mixer. Okay, so here's the two tracks that we created right here. Okay, and over here we can see our master, our metronome, okay, and our preview bus. Okay, and if we move this over, come over here and pull out, here is our 8 channels. These are our 8 outs going back into the card. It comes, our card has 8 inputs and 8 outputs. These are our 8 outputs in stereo going all the way across. So when I hit play, notice that it plays from the track to the master, and from the master to our output. And we can change this. Here's 3 and 4. Okay. If I want to go to output 5 and 6, there it is. I want to go to output 7 and 8, there it is. We're going to go back to output 1 and 2 though. Okay, because we're just doing a stereo recording. Now, why would you need 8 outputs? You would need 8 outputs if you're doing surround sound, 7.1 sound, or that kind of stuff. You're doing some kind of movie production. That's when you would use these 8 outputs. And I've done some soundtrack stuff for movies. But for the most part, you would need this if you're doing surround sound. Now we have to get the audio in our DAW application to play back through our mixer, and this is how we do it. We're going to go down to our X-32 Edit app, run to the mixer again, and we're going to bring up our routing button. Here's routing. So the way this works is that we're on our input channels right here, okay, as you can see. But the card has 8 outputs. We're set up for 8 outputs. And those outputs don't go anywhere. We have to route those 8 outputs of that card back into 8 inputs on the mixer. So we have to kind of create a loop there. And to do that, we're just going to borrow channels 17 through 24 here. This group of 8. We're just going to go over here to our 8 inputs of the card and move that over. We could also do it with the record function as well, but we're just going to move that over. Now when we play our audio back in Cakewalk, then we can see our audio is going to start playing. It should show up in our mixer. So we don't see anything, well, we see it over here. If I go down here to 17 through 32, we'll see it a little bit better. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these channels stereo because we have a left and a right. So we're just going to highlight 17. I'm going to go over here to stereo link, and yes, I'm going to make them stereo. Now, when I raise this up, So our channel on this side has stopped. Let's go over to Cakewalk and see what's going on. Well, for some reason it panned all the way left. Let's go ahead and click on that. And now we have both channels. Here we go. Okay. I wonder why it's doing that. I don't know why it's doing that. That's a bug that's in Cakewalk. They're gonna have to fix that. Okay, they're gonna have to make a little report. They'll fix that in the next release. But we can play back our audio just like that. Well, the pans, apparently, Cakewalk, if you're watching this, your pan is not working when I go back and forth to the app here. There's something weird with your pan going on right now. All right, if somebody could try and duplicate that, they'll figure out what the deal is and they'll fix that in the next release. Okay. Well, anyway, that's how you get audio to play back in your through your mixer right there. Then we've got audio playing back. Okay, another problem that you might run into is that maybe you don't want to burn 8 channels to play back your DAW. Okay, what if you have just an X-32, just a standard one, and you have 32 tracks? You might not want to burn a bank of 8 just to hear back what you've recorded. So in that case, we're going to go up to routing. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this 1 through 8 back over to our AES 50. Okay, and the same thing with the playback. And we're going to go to where it says auxiliary ins right here. We're going to click on that and we're going to go down to where it says card 1, 2. Or you can have card 1 through 4 or card 1 through 6. We're going to select card 1 and 2. So now what's happening is that the first 2 channels of the card are being routed to the first 2 channels of our auxiliary input. That means we're not going to be able to use the first 2 channels of our auxiliary input. We can't plug anything in and record from that because those channels are being used to play back our audio. Now the same thing would happen with these channels 17 through 24. As long as that's on the card, we wouldn't be able to record using these channels because these channels are being used to play back the audio. But now we have freed up our 32 channels and we're using the 2 auxiliary inputs to play back. So now we're going to go ahead and close out our routing. We're going to go ahead and bring this down, highlight channel 17. We're going to remove the stereo link. So we have our bank back, okay? Now we're going to go back to Cakewalk and then we're going to hit the play button. Our audio is going to start. There it is. Okay. Let's go over to our app and we're going to go down to auxiliary and there is our audio playing back through the our 2 auxiliary inputs. There we go. Let's go back over here. So that is probably the best way to hear the audio back. Just go ahead and go through your auxiliary inputs. Okay, so now I have plugged the guitar into auxiliary 3. You see there on the meter, it registers a little bit. If I turn this up to 0, you'll see a little bit of the sound. Now our audio is still playing back through these 2 channels, so we can't use it. So if I play the audio, you'll see, right? And here's okay. Now we need to route this a little bit different to play from auxiliary 3. So we're going to go over here to where it says routing. We're going to open that up. We're going to go down to the card. Okay, so we can use any of these outputs we want from the card source. And for this example, why don't we use outputs 25 through 32? We're going to take this output, and we're going to go all the way down to where it says auxiliary in 1 through 6 T, which is talkback microphone right there. Okay. And then we're going to go over to our Cakewalk application. So now we're going to go ahead and go back to, hit D on the keyboard, go back to our main screen here. And we're going to select an input. So remember that we are using the last bank of 8. That's 25 through 32. Okay. So the first 2 channels, which is these 2, are being used to play back the audio. So we would have to use channel 27 to record our second guitar. So we select that right now. And as we play, you'll see. I'm going to fix the pan here for some reason, all the way that way. There we go. And we're going to arm it for recording. We should see a little bit of something here. It's not really loud enough, so let's go ahead and fix this. And now all we have to do is select auxiliary 3. You can see here's our trim factor right here. As we strum the 20 section, we're just going to bring this up a little bit, see what this does. Bring it up to a little bit louder. Let's see what that does in our track. Well, that's good enough for this example. So I'm going to show you something else called reamping. So we're going to go ahead and record right now. Okay. So we have a little bit of a recording here, not really loud enough. You can see. You can blow this up if you want to. See how that cursor changes when you bring this over? We just blow that up and you can see there's where our track is. It's not really loud enough. But we're going to reamp this. So what's reamp? Okay. We have this blown up. We're just going to click it twice. Brings it back to where it needs to be. We have our basic signal here. It's not very, very loud here. Okay. So if I just solo this and play it, you can hear it. Now we're going to go ahead and insert TH3, which is an amplifier modeler type of effect. Okay, lots of good amp models in here. Let's try TH3 Cakewalk. We have Guitar Hero, Clean, DI Funk. Let's try. No, what would be a good one? Let's try. Turn the volume down on a reamp. See how it gained in volume drastically? Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and play both tracks together. So that is recording with an auxiliary input. And as you've noticed, the preamp didn't work at all. I mean, we jacked it way up and it didn't boost the input whatsoever. We were able to reamp to make up the difference though. But the point here is that everything is bypassed. The preamp in the mixer is not going to work. The channel strip is not going to work. You're going to have to make sure that the input is loud enough, the signal is loud enough going into the mixer to register into the DAW application. So this raises another question, really. How do I use the channel strip to record a track? How do I use the effects in the mixer? And how do I combine all of this with the signal I'm trying to record? It's actually easier than what you think, and I'm going to show you right now. Let's go ahead and click on 1 through 16, and you can see that now I am back in channel 1. There's my input signal there. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to use the effects in the channel strip. So in order to do that, we're going to click on channel 1 right here. Now here's our noise gate and our EQ and our dynamics. And you can go through anything you want, and you can kind of customize it however you want to do. All right, so whatever you want to do to customize and make your guitar tone, just go, you can go do that now. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to use a preset. So I'm going to go over here to where it says library. I'm going to click on library. I'm going to go over here and we're going to use BBM Clean Guitar 2. So I'm just going to click on that. There, and that preset is now loaded. Now if I want to load a picture, I can do that as well. I'll just click on that. If we're doing a guitar track, kind of an electric guitar track, so I'll do my little Les Paul there. There we go. So we've loaded an icon. I have my gate set. There's a dynamic compressor. Here's my compressor set. Got number 2 on the knee. Here's the EQ. I want to take this. Let's see what it sounds like here. I want a little bit of a crunch, so I'm going to make this like a treble. I'm going to add some crunch to that, and then I'm going to take this and take some of the low end off. So we'll go over to config here. Actually, I want to add low end. I'm going to bring this down to maybe about, let's do 5. Go look at the EQ. See, we've moved this over a little bit. So now I want to play a little bit more low end. That's what we need. Okay, so we're going to add effects. So 1 through 4, this goes through the buses, and we can adjust the buses from over here in the sends. But what we're going to do is we're going to do an insert. And we can find the inserts over here, okay? So this insert right here, pre and post, that's a reference to this effects insert. So I can click on this and have it before the EQ and dynamics, or I can click on this and have it after the EQ. Same thing, I can swap out the compressor and the EQ, and I can change the order in the channel strip. So now just by clicking that, I've changed the order of the dynamics to the equalizer, okay? Change it back. We'll go compressor first, and then I'm going to take the insert and I'm going to put it before the compressor. Now we go to our effects 5 through 8. Now we're going to select up in here, actually up in here where it says off. We're going to click on that, and we're going to go to channel 1. So now what we've done is we've inserted this into channel 1. This EQ. So we can change it by clicking on that, and we can select something different here. Or if we want to see the pictures, all we do is hit on type, and then the picture of the effect with the name is right next to it. Okay, so we're going to scroll down until we get to dual guitar amplifier. So now that we have selected a dual guitar amplifier, all we have to do is click on it, and that brings it up right there. Okay. So right now it's set. We have to turn our insert on. So we're going to go over to where it says channel, right? Config. And we're just going to engage our insert like that. And so we have it going from, here's our low cut, to our noise gate, to our insert, which is going to be a guitar amp, to our compressor, to the EQ. Now, if you don't like this, you can change the order by doing that. And you can insert it after the EQ. I want to keep it before the EQ, just for this example. And let's go back to our amp, and then we're going to make some adjustments here. Okay, we're going to take the punch up, and we'll take some crunch up, and take take some drive up, not a lot. We just want to add a little bit of crunch is all. There we go. Need a little bit more crunch and a little bit more drive. Well, take some level down. There we go. So now what we're going to do is add some reverb and delay. So we're going to go close this out, and we have a basic reverb and delay settings. We're going to use effects 1 and effects 3. So when we go to our sends, here's our effects 1. A little bit more reverb there. That's good enough. And we're going to do a little bit of delay. Too much. So a little bit more. Okay, now let's go to our DAW application, and we're going to mute the other two tracks we've done. We're going to get rid of our bus section, just take it down in there, and I'm going to right click and go to insert audio track. We'll take these two, since we're using them, and we'll collapse them, and we're going to pull them out. Okay, and we're going to select our input as channel 1. Here's channel 1. Okay, now we should be ready to go. Let's see if we arm it for recording. There we are, right at the 12 spot, right? So all we gotta do now is start our recording. Let's check it out and see what we've got. We'll play it back. Notice what happens. Just a dry signal. Why are we getting just a dry signal? Because it's coming in directly from the preamp. So once it leaves the preamp, that's it. None of this stuff is applied. But this is how we get to apply it. We're going to fix this in routing. We're going to pull up routing, and what we're going to do is we're going to use the alternate port. Now the alternate port is what you plug the P16 into, and the P16 is a hardware device that basically gives you 16 separate outputs, and it's like it's in ears basically, and we're going to use this to record our effects. So we're going to have to start off by going to the alternate itself, the alternate output. You can see clean guitar. There's our clean guitar, right? We're going to route the input of the track into our monitor. So we're using the monitor left, because 1 is left, odd numbers are left, even numbers are right. So we're taking this guitar output and we're running it over to our monitor left. Okay. Now the next thing we need to do is go over to our card. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our outputs 1 through 8, and we're going to run that over to our alternate port. That's it. That's all you have to do. Alternate channel 1, because we're plugged into channel 1, is going into our left monitor. Then from the left monitor, that's going into the card. I'm going to take our signal from the alternate. That's all you have to do, okay, in the card section. So now when we take the routing off, and we go over to our DAW application. We'll go ahead and go to Edit and Undo Recording. Now our recording is done, but now when we play it, now watch, our signal is going to be a lot. Actually, it's about the same, isn't it? Let's go ahead and play a little and see if this fixes our problem. Okay. Notice that track is a little bit more beefy. Now when we play it back, take our recording button off. Let's see what happens. Okay. Now, we were able to record with the effects from the mixer. And that's how you would do it. Make sure in your routing, once again, I'm going to cover this one more time. Go ahead and take this off. In routing, make sure that we're using the alternate, okay? And in our example here, channel 1 is routed to the monitor, okay? And then in the card, we're taking that from the alternate. And by doing that, we can record the effects and everything else that's in that channel strip. We're actually using the EQ and the compressor, all that stuff is being used right now by using this routing path. Now let me show you one more trick. We're going to go back to routing, and where alternate is, right here, 1 through 8, we're going to take that and go back to our local inputs. Now instead of using outputs 1 through 8, we're going to use outputs 17 through 24. I'm going to route those to the alternate. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, go back to our DAW application. I'm going to insert another audio track. Okay, so our input on this is 1. And 1, we're going to get our signal from the alternate. Actually, what we need to do, go ahead and undo our inserted track, undo our audio, insert another track. There we go. And now we're routed to our first channel. Now on here, remember the alternate was 17 through 24. So we're going to go over here. We're going to locate channel 17. And then we're going to hit record. And we're going to hit record on this. We should get a signal in both. Okay, so this channel is clean, and this channel has the effects from the mixer. It's a little bit hotter. So let's try our recording again. Watch what happens when I play these back. Let's go ahead and take the record button off first. Now let's try it. There's my clean track. There's my effects track. Now, I can reamp this track if I want to. I'll just go ahead and insert the TH3 plugin again. And let's go to preset we used earlier. And what we're going to do is turn this way down. Then we're going to blend it in and put it back. with D in the keyboard, and we can actually use the pan one left, right, back again. That's one way to layer guitar tracks while recording only one guitar track. All right, that's all well and good and fun. We've learned how to record in Cakewalk using our Behringer mixer. Now let's try our other DAW application. We're going to go ahead and minimize this. Have our routing open. We're going to go ahead and close that. Now we're going to minimize it. And we're going to open up waveform. Waveform free opens up. We're going to go down to new project, click on that, and we're going to project. And we have our various different types of projects we can do. We're just going to do default. Okay, we're going to say test. All right, so here's our project. We have 8 tracks to work with. It's more or less a blank project. Okay. Here's our input section over here. This is where we have our pan and our volume, and here's our meter and mute solo, all that kind of stuff. We insert plugin effects over on this side. Okay, so we're going to go over here on track 1, and we're going to select an input. So we have our audio input. We have the Behringer selected, and we're going to go select input number 1. Input 1 is selected because we're still plugged into 1. We see we have a little input there. Okay, as you can see here, we have our meter right here. We're just going to arm it for recording by hitting that. We're ready. Just going to go down here and hit our recording button. Yes, there's no effects because we recorded from channel 1. If we want to record with effects, we're going to have to do it from channel 17. So all the same routing techniques that we learned in Cakewalk apply to this DAW too. As you can see, we're in track 1 right here, channel 1 from the mixer. But if we go down to track 2 and we select 17, here we are, 17, and we arm it for recording. Now when we record, we're going to take the effects from the mixer into our waveform DAW application. So let's give that a try. All right, so there we go. Let's go rewind it. Let's see what we got. There you go. Now we can record into our DAW applications using our Behringer X-32. Okay, thank you for watching. That's about it for this video. In our next video, we're going to cover free plugins, where to go to get the best free plugins on the internet, how to add them to your DAW and expand the capabilities of your DAW application. Now, if you hit the like button, that encourages me to make more of these videos. If you subscribe, you'll be notified of other videos that will come your way that you might be interested in. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.